What it do, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well and feeling blessed out there. We are back with another video, man. It's crazy. We're already in December. Feels like we're in the middle of the month already. Last month of the year. Final push. I know the last quarter is always crazy for everybody, from holiday travel, business, and work, and trying to be 10 people with 10 hats in one body, and it's a lot. But today's topic, just as normal, spearheaded through conversation and things that I've heard, things that I'm experiencing, things that I'm learning and navigating and want to share with y'all that hopefully can be helpful and conducive. So, something that is really prevalent in my world, and I feel like for a lot of people too, especially during this time of year, and I've harped on it in a previous video, is goal setting. A lot of the time when we set out goals, whether short term and they feel tangible, like habit related and forming those, or if they feel lofty, we only look at the pluses and the pros and the positive side of it. And it's not to be a Debbie Downer or to be negative or pessimistic about certain things, but I think the more that we can actually flesh out and write the maybe not so favorable things, the more that we can face the monsters and look at those things head on. So we're not as afraid or not as scared to, stand up to those things. Of course, it's going to coincide and correlate back to health because that's the main part of this channel. But even just in life in general, we definitely look sometimes way further past what is right in front of us, and there are obstacles right in front of us too. If you're looking at the finish line, which you have this level of optimism and positivity, which you should hold on to and keep, because that may keep you in the running to do the thing, but you don't see that there's a huge wall and you see that there's animals about to attack right in front of you, and you're just going to keep a blind eye to it, you are going to get devoured. And you are going to continue to want to go back to the starting line and just be in the cycle of like, ooh, I'm going to go. No, I'm not going to go. Ooh, I'm going to go. No, I'm not going to go. And we don't want that. We want to get to that finish line because it feels great. That sense of achievement, that dopamine, whatever the case is, that feeling of like you're ascending and elevating, getting towards that mountaintop. So with that being said, it's just something that I've been pondering on. It's something that I've been navigating and working through. And as I even just elaborate and talk about this, I just want to kind of open up that section of your brain to kind of look at it in that realm. So in the scope of healthcare, it's super straightforward and simple. Hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. Hey, I want to get lean like I was back in college. Hey, I want to be able to run a marathon. All these goals, things that I've mentioned in the past. What are the first few thoughts or things we attach and associate to the feelings that brings us, the esteem that maybe that brings us? Okay, I get to run a marathon. I have a sense of accomplishment. I lose the 30 pounds. I feel confident and sexy in my clothes or without my clothes, whatever that is for you. I get lean like I back like I was in college. There's that feeling of feeling youthful. Like maybe you haven't felt like that in a decade or so. The other element of attaching or associating to those things, which is great to have, in the forefront of your mind, is also how much better everything else around you may get. Not just feeling sexy or whatever the case is, but then the things even attached to that. Whether you're with your spouse and they look at you different, or whether you're by yourself and just people in public look at you different, or you do the marathon and it's like you get to add that to your resume of movements, and it's like, oh, that's a formidable person, like, in the space, whatever space or orbit that you are in. And if it's the getting lean back to college days, maybe you have a reunion coming up and you're the talk of the reunion, like, yo, what have you been doing? Like, there's always an association with those things, with those goals. It's never just the one off. So anytime I hear it, whether talking with a client or even just regular conversation in public, and it's like, yeah, no, like I want to get back to a size 10 pair of pants or a size 6 pair of pants. And it's like, why? Like you never just take those things for surface value. It's like, okay, well, it makes me feel good, and I think my doctor would appreciate it. Okay, well, why that's nice. And it's great. You want to obviously do things that would not only make the person or physician or a provider happy, but it's for yourself. You're the one that's going to sleep with this body and living with this body everywhere you go. So really, why? Well, that was probably around the last time that I felt this way. Or, I'm noticing that people in my family, whether aunts and uncles or grandparents, are starting to have certain conditions arise, and it's actually hereditary. And I want to find all the advantages I can to stack against being able to push that away. Like there's always that why, and I've harped on that as well in previous videos. But I want to pry and poke at, I want you to think of that, almost like write them out. And what I was hearing, I believe, from a podcast was like, write out those fears, write out those things and those monsters that are right in front of you, the ones you may not see, because it's going to give you that sense of awareness and increase that IQ just for your peripheral, like everything, because not everything is going to be sunshines and rainbows. Not everything is going to be perfectly lined up and have all these, your ducks in a row. We always have something, again, that I mentioned, this perfect plan on paper, and then life actually happens. And as soon as it's an inconvenience, it gets pushed right to the side. And the crazy thing about it is we don't really recognize our here. They're valid. They are valid. But the outcome does not care about any excuse, no matter what. And when you're talking about it and you think about it, obviously this comes from a place I can't relate, because I do not have children. And having newborns and working with hundreds of people, parents, clientele that got kids, that the last time they got quality sleep was like 2 years ago. And when I mean quality, like 6 to 8 hours, like it's interrupted and all those things. But you also got to think about it. If you're a person where you just really want to be outcome driven and just get to the goal and you want to see that finish line, you got to sometimes peel back and hear what you're saying. Like if your immediate thought or words that you're spewing are, the blame are going to be on the child and the lack of sleep, or the blame is going to be on the spouse because they are going to do said activity and you got to pick up the pace, like that's already like a losing mentality, and that's not the frame of mind. Very valid why that can make it much harder to train and get to said goal. But because we always go from, this is step 0 on the staircase, our goal in our minds associate, connect, attach to the 10,000th step on the 10,000 steps of the staircase. And it's like, well, if you keep looking at it, but you're not physically moving towards it, you're never going to get there. You're just going to continue to look at it. If you even move half of a step, you still moved, and that over time compounding is going to get you way closer than just looking. You know what I'm saying? So by seeing, going back to the analogy of the parameters around you and looking at the things that are obstacles right in front of you and finding ways no matter what. Going back, I know I'm going on my tangents, but even going back to the example of a parent, it's like, well, if you know you love working out for an hour, but you don't have that hour because you barely get 2 to 3 hours consecutively to sleep, and you're still working full-time work, and you still have, your spouse and children, well, find a way, like get a pair of adjustable dumbbells if that's within your financial structure, or get 1 or 2 kettlebells and spend $150 on like a 30 or 60 pound kettlebell. Put it right in the living room. It's not going to take up much real estate or space. And you can do some pretty challenging, hard sets, close to failure, 2 sets, 2 exercises, spend 10 to 15 minutes. May not be the hour that you're looking for, but that is way more conducive to you staying in shape, keeping your mental sharp, keeping your mind right, pouring into yourself, all of those things to get to said goal. And even though, like I said, it's not exactly how you sliced it, it's still a better perspective of this like preventive maintenance mindset of like not thinking the worst, but thinking what can happen to slow down or derail the goal that I have set out, and how can I circumvent it? If you already start thinking about that and you have the audibles in your head, you're already way ahead of the game, because the time or phase in your life when you do get that opening where it's, I'm getting 7 hours of sleep and I'm cruising at work, and shoot, don't have high maintenance, people around me. Everything's just smooth. I got an hour and a half. You're not even gonna know what to do with yourself, because you already have set yourself up for being in that zone or that frame of mind to operate no matter what circumstances are thrown your way. So that was just one example, a little bit of bouncing back and forth, but I just want to pose that to you to think about, or even an exercise that you can have as a take home, as homework, is if you have that goal that you set out, especially going into the new year, especially a lot of resolutions going on, yes, have the goal, whether financial, whether physical, whether spiritual, all of the above. I want you to also factor in, what do you doubt with that goal? What do you fear with that goal? What are some cycles and some loops that you continuously keep running back into when you set out said goal? Maybe it's a brand new goal that you've never set out, but sometimes you're going to get to it, especially if you're a person that you do it religiously each year and you come back and you're like, man, I feel like I wrote down this goal last year and like nothing substantial came of it. Okay, maybe you executed a ton of other ones, so kudos. So I'm not just saying you failed, but if you keep coming back to this, really peel back the layers and see why. And you'd be surprised looking at the fears and the things that are holding you back, and more times than not, it's you. You'll definitely start to see those little nuggets and changes where it's like, oh, I kept trying to push through when I just needed to go around. Or I kept trying to duck under when there was a thing right there and I just needed to walk over. Like, you're gonna start to be more cognizant and weary and aware, not even weary, but aware of what's going on around you, to where you're gonna breeze right through. And again, you still may get to that notch or whatever the case is, and you may have a new obstacle or a new barrier, but you're already building that foundation and threshold to be able to overcome any and all of those things. So just a different frame of mind, something to, take away. And I wanted to share with y'all, see what y'all think. Let me know in the comments if this helped, if you give it a shot. Let me know if it worked for you. And let's finish out this year strong. I'm going to catch y'all next time. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.